Nation. We're back.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Fire the Cannon. I'm Rocky.
And I'm Megan, and we are Fire the Cannon.
Boom. Welcome back, Megan.
How are you doing?
I'm great, and I'm especially excited because we have amazing guests tonight. So that's really great. And let's just no delays. Let's just bring in our amazing friends. And since it is O-line celebration day, I am wearing 76 Hayden Connor, celebrating our offensive line. I need to pick a new offensive line jersey this year. Let's bring in our special guest because we've been pumping it up and promoting. So let's welcome Texas football family. We have Jeanine Chatman, ladies first. Jeanine Chatman, mother of Jaydon Chatman, and we have Michael Goosby, father of Trevor Goosby. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Good. I'm so glad you're able to join us. We know we have a lot to talk about, and we just wanted to have a great conversation. Megan and I have been doing, Michael, you've been with us before. Jeanine, I know you've been approached to chat with some friends before, so I'm so grateful that you guys are here. We've been always about the families and just the community, and we want everyone to love your children as much as we love your children and you love your children, right? We want everyone to learn about them and learn from you, your experiences as parents of athletes and just parents of children, right? And caring for them and looking out for their best interests. But also we want some scoop on Texas and what's happening, like what's happening, in the program and all those kind of things. So welcome.
Jeanine, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Busy as usual, just like you are.
Fam right here.
Yeah, this is family right here.
Yeah.
This is family for us.
Absolutely. Yeah. We say that all the time. You saw a couple years ago, Texas released those shirts that just said family, right? With the Longhorn. And we say Texas is family. But I think that's one thing that I've just really loved to see. When we say it, we mean it. You know what I mean? And watching the families connect behind the scenes, seeing how, there's just so much love in that football locker room, in the Texas family right now, between families. It's so great to see. We're so excited to have y'all here. It's just a lot of love in the rooms tonight. Yeah.
lot of love.
The biggest thing for us as, with Jeanine and her family and the Chatmans is that they've been there with us from day one. So when the recruiting was going on and, when the boys had to, kind of make that decision, or at least they were put in that position to choose Texas, we were all there as families to support them. Yeah. So our stories are similar in many ways.
Yeah.
So that day was an interesting day, going back to that meeting at Sark's house one by one. I thought that was an interesting time, but that's what binds us as a family is watching our boys go through that process and just being there to support them. So it's definitely a family affair for sure.
Yeah.
Let's start by introducing, for the people watching and the people that'll be listening on the podcast later. Introduce yourself, Jeanine. Let us know what city you're from, your son, your other children. We know both of you have multiple children who are multi-sport athletes too, and we'll get into the basketball soon too, because there are people who want to know about your son's, basketball careers and things. So, Jeanine, let's let you start. Introduce yourself, your family, and how you got to Texas.
Hi, I'm Jeanine Chatman. I'm Jaydon Chatman's mom, number 75. Right now he's O-line, wherever they need him. Where are we from? We're from Harker Heights, Texas, which probably nobody has ever heard of.
We all know Harker Heights.
We know Harker Heights.
Close to Fort Cavazos. We are a military family. So originally from California, and love everything about the state of Texas. Honestly, we do. And everything about Texas football and the University of Texas.
All right. Thank you. And Michael, tell us about where you're from.
Yeah. We originally are from Dallas, Texas.
We know where that is too. We know what that is too.
Never heard of it.
If I say Melissa, Texas, no one's gonna know. So unless I say
Miller knows where Melissa, Texas is.
Yeah, unless I say Bucky's, then they'll know.
There you go.
Yeah, so from Dallas, Texas, my son is Trevor Goosby, number 74, right next to Jaden at 75. Um, I always say that Flood makes the boys basically know all the positions. So
Yes.
Jaden knows tackle just like he knows guard, and I actually think Jaden knows center as well. But Trevor doesn't play center, but he does play guard. I mean tackle, both tackles. But anyway, Trevor Goosby's my son, and then we have our oldest son, Grant Goosby, who lives in Austin, just gave us our first grandchild.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yep. And then we have baby boy, who's
Yes,
not really
sir.
a baby, but we call him a baby. But
Not a baby at all.
we have baby boy Austin, who is a junior in high school right now and going through the recruiting process on the basketball side. So yeah, that's
Amazing.
that's that's who we are. Yeah. And see, we have a connection with the Chapmans because they understand the basketball recruiting side. So
Absolutely.
they've been through that process that we're we're currently going through. So
Yes.
it's
That's
we get to exchange, yeah, we get to exchange that those kinds of informations when we're together. So
awesome.
So
yep.
Yes.
so let's talk about that. I love this. We talk about family. We talk about you guys sharing a journey together. Is that give us some inside scoop on that? How much do the families of recruits talk behind the scenes? Like,
Oh
hey,
God.
our visit went like this. How'd your visit? Does that kind of stuff happen? Is there a lot of intel sharing behind the scenes?
I think we all bug Michael the most. We go and ask him questions all day. But yes, there is, in the recruiting phase, you're still kind of trying to figure out, should you ask these questions? I don't want to make him look bad. What am I do? You know what I mean? I
Yep.
don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable. You're still trying to figure out what you can and can't do. But we learned real quick, that okay, all of us are kind of on the same page. We're vibing this, Texas thing. But yeah, we did do some talking.
Yeah,
Not
Yeah,
just
there's
a
a
little
lot.
bit.
Look, I'll be honest with you. I think the mothers actually have a deeper
oh yeah.
connection than the dads.
That's
Now,
the
now,
truth.
now, the one thing I'll say is that Janine's husband is amazing because that
Oh,
guy,
Yes.
that guy is always. I mean, he is
he's all
locked
right.
in
No, I'm just kidding.
on the parents and kind of the dads in particular. He and I really connected,
Yes.
and he's always locked in on Trevor. And if I don't see him going in, he sees him going
Oh
in, or if
yeah.
I see Jaden going in, and so he's always been that way for me, kind of a support system.
Yeah.
And just because I can be hard on my kids, and
Mhm.
so sometimes he's looking at me like, Gooseby, we're gonna be all right. Like he's gonna be fine. Don't
Take a
don't
breath,
don't.
man. Take a breath.
Yeah, take a deep breath because he's
I
a,
love
he's a
that.
pretty
Yes.
he's a pretty calming guy. So I've enjoyed that relationship. But I mean, I still think the moms are closer, and
Yeah.
that's just to be expected. Like us guys don't. It's not that we don't care about the kids and the
Right.
boys, but we're more.
Different.
I think
Yeah.
we're just, yeah, it's just different. Like moms
It is.
just have a mother internal respect and locked in situation for their boys.
We're still trying to let go.
Um,
We're like this. We're
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
let
yeah,
go. And
Never let
you guys have already let go. Like they're grown, they got it. We're over here like, wait.
yeah, yeah. That's true. That is true. And so I think that's the tie. And then they have the mom's prayer group, and
Yes.
they just have a deeper connection as mothers to their young men, and I respect it. I'm like, when Cynthia says, "Hey, we're going to the prayer group. We'll see in a little bit." I'm like, "Okay, well, we'll
Love
see in a little bit."
it.
So
Yeah.
no, but there is a connection, and there always will be from this, from the point we met for the rest of their lives. They're going to be connected, and we're going to hopefully be tied together with the families and
Yes.
get to see those young men grow. And it's pretty unique. I will say this: it's a challenge.
It
Every
is.
boy is being challenged at every level, and I can only imagine what Janine and her husband go through, just trying to see their son get to where he's got to go on the field, in the classroom. And we're in the same boat, right? Like we want success for all those young men. The crazy part about our story, and I know Janine has a story to tell about this, is those four boys. Well, how many, Janine? So five total.
It
Those
was. It
five.
was. Five.
It was five, right? Yeah, that's right. It was five. We had one bail out early, but those four boys in particular have stuck together in a sense in their
Yes.
own journeys. And so
And
I'm
that's
proud
awesome.
of,
They
yeah, I'm
support
proud of
each
those
other.
boys.
encourage each other, push each other, which I love, because naturally you would think, everybody's competing for a spot, you know what I mean? In a sense, everybody, but when it's your time, and in the meantime, you grow and you push your team, because ultimately we want to win.
Flood said something that was interesting, and I know he said it to you guys, Jeanine, is that everyone's got to run their own race.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the key statement for us to say, okay, well, you know what? I can live with that. And so some guys are ahead a year, maybe a year and a half. Some guys are right where they're supposed to be. Others maybe 2 years out. But no one knows. And Flood doesn't tip his hat or hand, I should say, in any of that. He just teaches the boys what they're supposed to be doing, and
they trust him. They trust what he's saying.
Him.
They bought into the whole. It's awesome. I will say that my son loves it.
All right.
Yeah, my kid loves it too. No, I was just going to say my kid's in the same boat. Yeah,
that's what we love to hear, that they're enjoying their time, because they look like they're working hard and having a lot of fun. All right, so let's talk about your journey to Texas. You mentioned that you were on the recruiting process about the same time, came into the class together, your sons. Talk about the recruiting process, like what advice you would have for other families or athletes going through the process, and how you ended up choosing Texas.
Jeanine, you're up.
Okay. Well, for us, advice, I guess I would start with, having your student athlete tell you what they're looking for. As a parent in the beginning, I tried to kind of steer, what we're looking for, but ultimately they're the ones that's going to have to be happy where they are and feel comfortable, so I kind of let Jaydon lead that. So when people say, what made you all choose? It's really what made him choose, and we support it, So just, guide them, of course, but also let them know that this is their decision, and where they're going is up to them. This is their future. So that's one. But the journey with recruiting, I thought it was fun, but it was a little bit overwhelming, and it can be, especially with the different recruiting people calling you, or the coaches calling and, messaging your kids. And sometimes it can get a little distracting, and it's just a matter of keeping your kid, grounded and on track with what they have to do. Recruiting was fun, but I don't have too many, it was fun because, of course, people want your kid, and it's good to know that, he's doing something good.
Special. Yeah.
Yeah, it's special, so it's fun. You can kind of get a little wrapped up in the energy of being recruited, and lose sight of what the actual next step is beyond that.
She's right. There's a lot of, you're in kind of a euphoric moment in times when you're going through the recruiting process, because she's right. Like, everybody wants your kid, and they're saying they're saying great things about your son, and you feel that way as well, but you also know your kid, right? Like, is he really that exciting and brand new?
Come on.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And but I mean, she's right. There's an opportunity for us to get to see or hear what the coaches have to say about your child, that you knew it was always there, but you get to hear it from a different voice.
It's validating, right?
Yeah, it's validating.
It's all of the investment we put in, the time that, and that's another point. A lot of people think it's just something that's natural. Some kids, it's just natural. Well, you can't. Yeah, some kids have the size.
Right. Yeah.
I get that, but it's also an investment. So when you hear that, oh my gosh, all this time and effort and energy that they've put in and we've put in, okay, it got us somewhere. That's a good thing,
It is. It's a validation for sure.
I was going to say, that's got to feel very validating. So,
heck yeah.
Miss Jeanine, I wanted to ask you something. You had mentioned it's nice to see. I mean, between the two of your sons here, y'all had a ton of offers. You had a ton of offers, and to your point, it's nice. It's validating. Might it has the potential to go to their head a little bit. How did you keep your kids grounded throughout this whole process? You know, with all these D1 schools coming, knocking on the door, you know, you got Texas, you got a ton of people there in the mix. How did you keep your kids grounded and focused through all of this with these distractions?
Oh, for me, it started, I'll say it started with his brothers. His brothers kept him grounded. Like, calm down, you know.
Leave it to the siblings, huh?
That's right.
You know. And then that's right. You guys are all boys as well. That's right. That's right. The Goosebys. Yeah, and then
Exactly. Same thing.
Just the way my husband is, he's not a fluffy guy. You know what I mean? He's just not. I'm the fluffy mom, you know, like, oh yeah, you did that, you know, and he's like, okay, so what? You know, you got this many offers, you can only choose one school, you know, it's like, you know, so he's just very.
Let me tell you what's unique about the Chapmans and the Goosebys. So Jeanine is she's the perfect mom for the ego of the children, right? Of the young men, right? Like, she doesn't ever have a bad day. So she's got a smile on her face. She's, you know what I mean? Like, she's just, if you want to be in a good mood, go sit with Jeanine. She's gonna make sure you're gonna be okay. Right. Now, I'm that way when I'm around her and I'm around other people.
Yes, all our
Cynthia, the boy's mom, she's a little bit different. She's more like dad on the Chapman side.
Yes.
She's kind of straight-laced, not straight-laced, but she's more of, yeah, right? Like, we're cross,
yes,
right? Because Cynthia is that way. She's kind of a black and white type structure. Okay, great. This is all fine and dandy, but what does this really mean?
Yes.
You know, what is this going to mean for my son? And I'm over here like excited, like, hey, let's go out there and play football. Let's, you know, what are we doing? What do we got going on today? But yeah, so
it's a good balance, the yin and yang, right?
It's a good balance, but you got to have that in order to make, you know, just to try to keep the main thing. But that's what's unique about the Chapmans and the Goosebys is that we've got the cross, right? So it actually works itself out. If I see Jeanine, I'm like, big hug, you know, just catching up, high fives, and her husband's like, Goosby, how you doing? Everything good? You know what I mean?
All
like,
business.
We're good. But that's how Cynthia is. She's like, oh, good to see you. Everything good. So no, that's unique, but it's the same thing. Like, the basis of the whole thing, I think, in the Chapmans and the Goosebys is that they've got older brothers. So Trevor has an older brother, obviously, and then Trevor is an older brother.
Yeah.
And they just kind of recheck their egos quite a bit when it comes to, hey, what is this? You know, what's going on? Yeah, you think you're that? Okay, well,
you're not.
Yeah, you're not. Let's see what that really looks like. And so I think it's just kind of unique in our situation, but they've always been, for my kids, they're all pretty humble. They weren't always the best at everything. And so, you know, they worked.
Say that's the truth, because Jaydon is just very, and Trevor too, but Trevor has a little bit more a little pop to him. Jaydon is just very chill, you know. You get something out of him, it's like, oh, okay.
Jaydon reminds me of Austin.
Yeah,
because you've been around Austin, Jeanine. You know he's like, how you doing, Miss Jeanine? Everything good? Okay, yeah. You know, that's
listen.
But
they just make you work for it, right? They make you work for it a little bit harder.
Yes, and Trevor's got more of a personality.
Oh boy, does he? I love it.
Right.
So
Trevor's got more personality.
So over the years, you've now been in the program a few years, and you've gotten to see it evolve and develop and come from a program that was, you know, rebuilding, rebranding, trying to get back to greatness, and now has had some pretty consistent greatness, has achieved some really great things in the last few years. Of course, the ultimate goal is still out there, but they're in, you know, the top recruiting. You go into the playoffs, winning conference championships, competing at a high level the first year in the SEC. All those things are just building blocks of the, and it's shows how much hard work they're putting in behind the scenes. So when we talk about the direction of Coach Sarkisian's program, right, the program that you've grown up under over the last few years, what about his vision? And we can start with you, Michael. What about his vision and direction of the program really has you excited? And when he says things, you know, he has lots of those catchphrases, things like the standard is the standard. What does that mean to you and your family and your athlete? And then we'll start with Michael. The direction of the program under Coach Sark. even in your time?
So I think for me as a dad, kind of watching the program as the boys went into the program, Stark never wavered and has never wavered on commitment and development and buying into what we're trying to do, set a standard. And so whether that standard meant that you were going to play, you were not going to play, you were going to contribute on special teams, you were going to contribute in practice, all of those things he held at least my son in at the highest level, right? Same thing with Jeanine and so forth. It's like, guys, we're here to build something on a whole nother level. You can be a part of it and really add to it. Or it's just not it's just not going to be a good fit, and we wish you the best. And not in a way of kicking them out of the program, but
Sure.
you truly had to buy into the off-season program. You truly had to buy into going to class. You truly had to buy into being a good person and being a good teammate, for the entire betterment of the entire team. There's not they don't want individuals in a sense, when it comes to the team's concept. And so for me, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Flood sets the tone and the standard in that room, and it's never wavered since the day the boys committed when we dropped them off. So
Absolutely.
obviously there are adjustments and changes that are made throughout the course of the year, but going back to the original question, Sark just said, look, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And we're going to hold you to the highest standards. We're going to give you the hardest coaching. And, we want to build up a program to win championships. And really that's what it boils down to, is winning championships. Like, you can talk all you want about winning a few games, but they want to win championships. And I can sense that and feel that in my own son when I talk to him. And there is no wavering in that effort. And so that championship mindset goes across all standards of what they're doing, whether it's again weightlifting, to the school aspect, the GPA, and how they hold those kids accountable for that level, to the tutoring, to how you handle yourself on and off the field, and um, who you represent. You're representing yourself, your family, and this program, and that's what they hold them to a high standard. So that's kind of that's kind of my 2 cents on it. Jeanine, what do you think?
I love it. I agree with what you're saying. Literally, the standard is the standard. It's what we do on the field. It's what we do in the classroom. It's what we do when no one's watching. It's just what it is. I love that. Coach Flood did. That's one of the things that kind of made me just kind of going back. Comfortable with leaving my kid at Texas. What was said to me in the recruiting time frame. As a parent, is literally what I see. It wasn't no fluff. It wasn't no extra. It was, this is what it is. And that to me is more comforting. I don't need you to fluff me up and give me a bunch of grandiose ideas. I need to know what I'm going to see once I get there. And that's what I've been seeing.
But yeah. And then having that consistency, I imagine,
absolutely.
We talked about that a little bit earlier, just that reinforcement, right? Having that consistency, and it doesn't feel like you were duped once you get to the university when it's continuing to go through. So I wanted to ask real quick, this is so insightful. I love this so much. Can y'all point out, what is the biggest change that you've seen in your kiddo, since they've been with Texas?
Wow.
Jeanine?
Yeah,
on the spot.
Okay, yeah, no. Honestly, there's a lot, and that's a great question, because it really is. I say this all the time. Whenever I see him, I'm just like picking little things from him, like, whoa, okay. He used to be very quiet. He's actually more vocal now, which is a good thing, and to me, that just is a confidence. It's not necessarily just the fact that he's just wordy. He's confident. He's matured, of course. And I mean, that to me was already a big thing, he changed his degree plan to communication.
Wow.
We changed it again, though.
That's big.
That's all right.
We changed it again. So
yeah.
That's what this time in college is for.
Communicate.
No, but you know what? Janine hit she's absolutely right. It's when you see your child and you haven't seen him in a month or two, or whatever the time is, we miss him. And you get the chance to interact with them, and you can see the growth, you can feel the growth, like the things that they say to you and how they say it, and
exactly
the subject matters that they're talking about. That's not what they were doing 6 months ago.
Right.
And so that confidence level, like as a parent, you can feel that they're confident. They've met new friends,
Mhm.
non-football, and so that's cool. And so you get to see that growth, right? You
Yeah.
can see the
Yeah.
spirit in them, because trust me, Jeanine knows this. We can tell when our kids are just not in a good place.
Absolutely.
And so for me, and I was telling it's funny, I was telling Coach Miller this today because he was in Melissa. I said, it's been fun to watch Trevor's growth and his
Yeah.
confidence level.
Yeah.
That's really the bigger thing for me, is just
Yeah.
watching his growth and confidence, not just in football. Football's been phenomenal and amazing for that growth, but just for him to have, additional friends on campus, whether
I
it's Bible
know.
study or, hey, he's going to Target to pick up some things. I'm like, okay, we're making
Yeah, yeah,
we're,
yeah.
we're making some progress here. Let's go. Yeah.
Noticing things.
It's the little things, but that's,
It
yeah,
is.
for me, it's the same thing.
I love
Just
that.
growth.
That's awesome. Oh, Rocky, you're on mute.
I muted myself because I was trying to find my phone and I was dinging it. You mentioned a few minutes ago, Coach Flood, and the like his style of coaching, and then we also talked a little bit earlier about cross training and versatility. Talk to us, if you can, about the value. I know we've seen, like with the other, the older players who are being really highly considered in the draft over years of cross training and depth of knowledge of the field. Talk to us about Coach Flood's style of getting them to be able to play multiple positions and just the value it brings to them, but also the challenge of that. And we can start with you, Michael, because we saw last year Trevor Goosby came into play when he was needed and played both sides, and it was crazy.
Yeah, that was a wild time, and
Fun.
it's funny because Janine and we were all sitting we were all, you know what I mean, like we were all right
Mhm.
there, and
Yep.
so that game was interesting, right? The A&M game,
So much
and
fun.
but I'm going to tell you a quick story about the A&M game that is so funny. So that game, as you know, was packed. I mean, just to the gills, and so for whatever reason, I forgot my glasses in the car.
Oh God.
So I can't see past 50-yard line going the other way.
Oh, that's not the
So
game you want to
you
be
forget your
blurry
glasses,
either.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I can see close, but I can't see far. So anyway, I don't really know that Kelvin Banks goes down. I didn't see it. And so I've got Austin and Cynthia sitting next to me, and so I just look at them like, well, why is everybody just kind of standing around? What's going on? And then Austin kind of nudges me and he says, "Oh, Kelvin, I think is down." I'm like, "Huh?" And then Cynthia goes, "Yeah, Trevor's going in." I'm like, "What?" Because I can't see all of this live. Like I could see a little bit on the TV screen, but I'm looking at the situation and going, "Holy crap! Like he's going to get in and maybe get some snaps,"
It's
not
a big
knowing it's a big deal, right?
it's
I
a
mean,
big
Janine knows.
Absolutely.
It's like, so for me, I was completely, flabbergasted when it happened. But going back to your question of that, is that I was just completely in amazement that he was able to take the coaching,
and do
because
so well.
that's all it was. Like you
Yeah.
got to think about it. He played sparingly, just like everyone else, from that 23 class. But he got a chance to get in every now and then, but not like that, right? So
Right.
Sure.
I credit Flood and that whole staff,
Absolutely.
including strength and conditioning, to have him prepared,
Absolutely.
right? And then they had him locked in mentally on his job if that job was presented for him to do. And so I was like, so now I'm seeing it real time as best I can, right? Like I can't still see past 50 yards,
Plenty.
but Cynthia's, she's nudging me, Austin's nudging me, and I'm like, man, he's really doing well. And again, I go back to what the question, right? Like coaching style, development, all that stuff. They had him ready. Just
Yeah,
like I know if Jaydon goes in, when he does go in, he's going to be locked in, like
that's right.
1,000%. Doesn't matter if he's a tackle, guard, or center.
Right.
You best believe Jaden's going to be locked in because he knows what he's supposed to
Or
be
wearing
doing.
98, whatever
Yeah,
that
Right.
yeah.
We know what that might be.
you know what?
You know what I'm saying? So, and
Yeah.
again, I think the development that they've done, the
Yeah.
time they put into those boys, those young men, they're not boys anymore. The
Right.
time they put into those young men on a daily basis, and I think the dedication that the boys or the young men have for the program affords them the opportunity to be prepared, whatever the circumstances are. It's always the next man mentality up, to be honest with you. And so
That's right.
that's what I've been excited about from Flood's perspective, along with Mitch and DG and everybody, in the program that are with those boys. And every day I call them boys, but I'm looking up at them, so they're not boys,
You're
they're young
allowed
men.
to. You're allowed to. It's your kid. You
You're
can call them
dead.
boys.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I know, but yeah, so yeah, that's my
I
thoughts on
agree
that.
with you 100% on Flood. Like I said, and this goes back to, I'm not too big on like coaching style and all that. That sounds too fancy for me. But because I don't know all that. But I do see the growth. I do see the development, and it's just consistent. It was that way last year with certain players, and it's this way. You have no choice but to buy in. You have no choice but to say, this is obviously the recipe and it works. So just play your role, wait your time, and you're gonna shine.
Yeah,
It is what it
yeah,
is.
I
this is
love it.
true.
I love it. Well, Michael, I'm gonna have to say, if your son plays as well as he did versus
Absolutely.
A&M without you wearing your glasses, I hate to tell you this, my
You
friend,
cannot wear
you
your
may
glasses.
not be allowed to wear your glasses at football games moving forward.
Oh my
I love
God, that
that.
was so
So
I
embarrassing. I was
love
like,
that.
oh my
hey, it
gosh.
happens to the best of us. So something you did mention is this next man up mentality. So let's talk about the next man up, right? You guys, it's inescapable.
Which man are we
Your
talking?
O-line, yeah, your O-line is going to be protecting Arch Manning.
Ah, woo.
Let's have a
We've been
conversation
preparing for
about
that,
that.
haven't we, Jeanine?
Hello. That
We've
was
been
the role of the whole 2023 commitment.
we
Absolutely. So talk to us a little bit about that. What has that been like from the viewpoint of, your family, from the viewpoint of an O lineman who is going to protect kind of the unsung heroes that's going to be up and protecting Arch Manning? What's that process been like? And has there been any unexpected moments or things that have popped up along the way?
I don't know. I'll let you go on that one, Michael. For me, I listen, it was just in the recruiting phase. I know Jaydon was looking at that as well. Of course, he's an
yeah.
old lineman.
Mhm.
Yeah,
you know,
no, it's she's right. Like we all looked at it, right?
yeah,
All of us had the same thinking in mind and mindset, which is
yeah.
one of our boys or all of them in some way, shape, or form will be blocking for him
I
if
mean,
things go the way they're being laid out. But I'll be honest with you, I asked Trevor this question, gosh, maybe a month ago, right before spring ball, and I said, "Look, what's it like? How do you feel?" And he's like, "Dad, I don't care if the janitor pops out there. If Sark says that's who we're blocking for,
you're not touching
then
them. That's
you're not touching him." So I think while all the boys, gosh, I'm gonna get this right, all the young men all understand the responsibility of their positions
yeah,
in that O-line room. I truly don't believe that any of them, just my opinion, I don't think they really, really care about who's back there in the quarterback position. I don't. Even though Arch obviously is all eyes on that situation, and I think they understand the responsibilities of that.
absolutely.
But for them, I think what I get from Trevor is that the bottom line is we have to block at whoever
Whoever's
Flood
there.
and Sark and the staff say is going to be the quarterback for that moment and time and snap. Then they block like it's the end of their lives. Like that's how they do it. And
That's their
so
job.
yeah, that's it, Janine. That's it. It's
That's
their
their
job. That's their responsibility. And again, if the janitor wants to get back there and take some snaps, then he's going to be well protected.
well
Um, well
protected.
protected.
Listen, if we
So
are in a position that the janitor has to step in,
We're in trouble.
many,
we
many things have gone wrong
yeah
today,
we
Yeah.
right?
we got some bigger issues, right? But
Yeah,
but again,
absolutely.
yeah, I think the boys, I think their vision and view of the whole situation is next man up, do your job, do it at a high level,
That's right.
and trust what you've done over the last year to 2 years with your training, with your teachings, your film work, your study. All of those things are exactly what Flood and staff have instilled in them and repped it. So they've repped it. And that's
Right.
why when I see Jaydon going at tackle, I'm like, he already knows this. He's been doing it for two
Right. He's
years.
been
When
doing
he
that.
Yeah, when somebody says, "Well, Trevor can play left and right," I'm like, "Yeah, because he's
Yeah,
been doing it."
been doing
He
that.
may not have been doing it, in the game per se, but he's been repping it.
This is
So
it.
this is it. So that's why you see that. So
I
I
love
hope
that.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. Absolutely.
All right. So I wanted to share a few. The players have had some media availability this week. And last week we heard from Arch Manning, we heard from Trey Wisner, we heard from this week Colin Simmons, Anthony Hill, Michael Taft were available to speak. And I had a few clips that I wanted to share with you and get your thoughts on that. The one we heard Arch Manning called Trevor Goosby the man. That's the man.
Oh, I love it. I didn't even hear that one.
I didn't hear that one either. Yeah, no, that's
Oh,
new. That's new
You're like
news.
surprising me too.
I'll get it for you in a sec. We'll watch this one and I'll pull that one for you so you can hear it. Okay, so I wanted to play for you Michael Taft talking. I think it was this morning, talking about the growth of Arch Manning, but also he expanded broader to the team about how everyone's focused. The transfer portal opens today, we know that, and NIL and all the talk, but how the team has come together and the focus is the team. And I'll share this with you because I thought it was really fantastic to talk about the culture that's been instilled in the program. And then we'll listen to him, and then we'll talk about it.
And then also, oh, by the way, he's also got a really good arm. He can throw, and he's, who he is. He's a ball player. So he's doing a really good job. We talk a lot of trash, but it's so cool. I saw what he said to y'all about, this is where I want to be. And so in the day and age of college football right now, that is so cool. The cool thing about here is everything going on in college football. Everybody's freaking out. What's happening with college football? We're so naive to that. Like, our locker room is so naive to that. Nobody talks about financials. Nobody talks about really the transfer portal and who's going to leave, who's not going to leave, who are we going to bring in. We talk about like if Quandre Diggs came in the locker room, he'd be like, yeah, it's pretty much the same as when I played. And there's no transfer portal, there's no NIL, because we're just so, we have a great culture. We're bonded with one another. We're strong in our faith, and we just love the game of football. We love the University of Texas. So that's the coolest thing. That's something to look forward to if you're a Longhorn fan, is like, yes, college football is crazy right now, but I don't see a lot of that going on in our locker room, which is really cool. We're some of the
Thoughts? Is that what you're seeing too? They're just focused on team championships.
I thought it was just my kid because, like I told y'all, he does not talk. No, but yeah, I do. I honestly do see that. Everybody else is like, oh, this, that, and the third, and it's just so like, okay, we're at work, we're doing what we're supposed to do, and this is just the way it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I think they take a workman's mentality when they go to work every day. Like, they know they don't have a question about what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to do it, and how they are supposed to, handle their business. Like, they want to win a championship. Like, I can tell you without a doubt. And so whatever it is that they're telling them in their meetings, and as they prepare every day, they don't miss a beat when it comes to that message. Like, the message is the message, and it doesn't change regardless of who you are. And Taft kind of said it best. They don't, unlike us as parents, or maybe the media, or just the world in general, I don't think they get caught up in NIL and conversations around what kind of car you drive. And I still know they're young men, and maybe they have those conversations in their own settings and environments, around each other, away from the facility. But to be honest with you, I'm not sure they have time to even focus in on that kind of stuff, because
Agreed.
everybody's got a role to play. And Sark, as crazy as it sounds, he is truly obsessed with winning. He really is. And so I think that mindset is truly within those boys, and he's instilled in those boys as they come into the program, as they stay in the program, and they're constantly being challenged to up their game, if that makes sense. And iron does sharpen iron, by the way.
I do believe that these boys respond based on the leadership that they see too. It's
Facts.
the way the staff operates and moves and, communicates, and the things that they say, the things that they don't say. I think they respond to that too. I really do.
That's phenomenal.
All right, I found the where he had that comment.
He was the same guy, whether he was getting praised or not praised. So that was really cool to see.
What type of relationship do you have with Trevor? Considering he's probably going to be your blindside guy. Wayne had Kelvin, you're going to have him. What do you see from him?
Yeah, Goose, he's the man. He's like one of the nicest guys ever. He's in the business school. We play pickup basketball together. He's a great basketball player too. So he's the man.
How about that?
Oh, that's so
had you not seen that?
I know
I
I
have
did.
not. No, I did not. I can't. Yeah, I missed that. That's amazing, man. Like, I mean, my experience with Arch, and I know, I've gotten to know his mom and dad really well, and they're great people. You would think that they would be more than what they are, but they're not.
Oh my God, they're great.
They're actually some of the most laid back people you'll ever meet. They've been that way from day one. They don't. Yeah, it's an amazing relationship.
My
But Arch
girl,
is,
Ellen, I tell you.
yeah, Ellen is funny, man. I'm telling you, Ellen is funny. Like she's real.
Yes, she
There
is.
ain't no, there is.
Cooper he gets all the attention, right? But she's the funny one in the family.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but Cooper gets all the attention, but he
He's
does
the
a
party
great
guy,
job
that's
of,
why.
yeah.
Party.
He defers a lot of it. Like he defers a lot of it. I mean, Ellen is really the one, right?
Yes,
Like
that's right.
if you know Cooper, he's
Yeah.
now if you're with him one on one, personality wise, he's the best. Like he'll crack a joke in a New York minute.
Jeanine and I had a funny experience because we had the parents, the families have you get credits or coupons to spend, at some of the games, bowl games. And so Jeanine had hers, and you hadn't finished yours yet. So we were like, well, let's go find something before the concessions so you could finish your coupons. And Jeanine was grabbing some candies or whatever. And here comes Cooper Manning with the stack. He's like, do y'all need some more coupons?
Yeah,
just handing them out.
I'm trying to get rid of mine.
I guess he had. I'm sure somebody, gave him some extras, but he had a
no. That's Cooper. He's not gonna. Just like one day when he showed up, I think he showed up last year, Jeanine, in this massive cowboy hat.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The giant hat and he's just like hanging out in the stands with this massive straw hat.
In that hat.
I think so. Yes. I know, but the thing is, because he's such a big personality, you would think that. And a lot of it, obviously he has a lot of attention, people coming up to him, but he's the most down to earth guy. You'll so down to earth, and just hearing that from Arch, like all of those boys have kind of built that relationship up with Arch, and vice versa, right? So the beauty of Arch and Trevor, I always say, is that they truly believe that they should be playing basketball on a regular basis. I'm like, you guys,
is that high anxiety for y'all? When he's like, well, we're gonna go shoot.
Oh, it's definitely high anxiety for me.
Yes, because Jaydon was a basketball player as well.
Correct.
But, he got focused on football more.
Yeah, but he still got that bug.
Broke his finger. I'm like, no more basketball for you. How did you? Nobody who breaks their finger, like, no more.
And listen, we're in the same boat, Jeanine, because I'm like, brother, you're too big to be playing basketball anymore. What, Dad? I love it. I can't. I can't give it up. I'm like,
leave.
I'm like, brother, you gonna have to give it up now. There ain't you don't have another choice.
That's
and
facts.
so I love to hear stuff like that. Arch is just an amazing young man. I don't care what transpires with his career. He's just gonna be a good human being for the world. Yeah.
I will say that was one of the things, like when we were going through recruiting, and he called Jaydon, just to see what his decision was going to be, for him to take the time and be a part of that recruiting, was like, okay, this is a down to earth kid. All right.
Yeah. He's never been, Janine's right. He's never, not one time has Arch ever been bigger than his name, in a sense of attitude and, hey, this is me and you need to, no.
I agree with that.
He's always been in the middle of their world, showing his worth, not just talking about it.
Right.
And so he's grinded with those boys for 2 years straight. And he's just been amazing. Now, again, I hold him accountable for who he is as a human being, and whatever happens on the football field that's what happens. But for me, that family is amazing. And given what the pressure is that they're under with him, they've raised a very down to earth kid, man. I think sometimes Arch thinks that he's just a normal guy. I really do.
I do
Like
too.
I'm like, dude, what? Like seriously,
He did mention that. Yeah. He said in one of these interviews, media availabilities, he said, I can't stop doing the normal things. I can't stop going out to
He's
dinner with
normal.
my friends. I
Like,
can't
yeah,
stop.
right.
Yeah, like because that was the question posed to him, right? Like, how are you handling the pressure? How do you foresee it? And he said, "Look, man, I'm a college kid. I love it here. I want to be at Texas, and I can't stop being a college kid just because
Yeah.
of my name." Man,
Yeah.
he really does seem like
Love
he's
it.
got such a good head on his shoulders.
All right. Another thing I wanted to talk about, especially parents of offensive line. We know there's some positions where players might be able to jump in and play early. You have a wide receiver or a DB that might be able to get some early playing time. Offensive line is one of those positions where it's challenging. They have physical development. There's probably more experienced players that that they have to wait behind. And we've seen this with, especially with really highly recruited, highly talented players like your sons. There's opportunities in these transfer portals to go. They hear from other schools. Come play right away.
Mm-hmm.
But they trust in the development, the process, the journey. I want to play a clip from Sark. This was his media availability where he talked about the process and the patience and the development, and then parents who are living it, right? You want your kid out on the field. Let's listen to Sark, and then we'll get your thoughts as the parents of the players. Here we go. Let me turn it on.
To buy in, to trust the process. Well, it's a lot easier now than it was early on. Now it's we had 11 draft picks a year ago. We sent 14 guys to the combine this year. We'll see how many get drafted next week. And that it's not the product that you are today. It's the finished product of where you end up being. And I think when they can see images like themselves grow and have more and more success, it's a lot easier to trust that process. Early on, man, it was kind of selling vapor to them that wasn't even existing yet. And now I think them seeing the growth, I think even for a young tackle to see Christian Jones, from where he was when we got here to where he was when he ended, to watch the development of a Kelvin, a Cam Williams, to watch Jake Majors perform and work through. So different positions, obviously Arch watching Quinn, the running backs, watching the running backs that have come through here now for about the last 3 drafts or so. So I think it's across the board. Clearly the defensive linemen, it's been kind of 2 a year now, every year. And so it's easy for them to see what it looks like. But again, everybody wants to have success. I think at the end of the day, and it's them understanding maybe sometimes why there isn't the immediate success, but that the success will come if you trust the process that we're put in front of. So,
man, if
that's
the nail,
isn't it, Jeanine?
That's hitting the nail on the head. I don't know
exactly right.
I mean, and we're here for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He said some pretty profound words in there, but I think the overall sentiment that Jeanine and I can resonate about that comment or series of comments has to do with the boys have to understand and the young men have to understand that there is a process in place. It's not a one-hit wonder type situation. They want to develop these young men year after year after year, but in a program of this size and of this statue, so to speak, like what he's building, it takes time and you have to wait your time, whatever that time is. And so, but that's hard to teach an 18, 17, 18-year-old kid going into college. It's not easy.
They want to get out there,
They want to get out there in this world of social media, man. It's and portal and NIL and I get it. Everybody has their own circumstances by which they have to, address what's going on in their family and where they are in their process. But for us, and I think the Chapmans feel the same way. It's like, listen, if you can do hard right now, when no one's really watching and you're not on the greatest of stages in a sense, but you're still in the program, you're still contributing, that at some point you're going to get your shot. And when you get your shot, you got to be ready to shine and take all that preparedness you took and all that patience, and you have to apply it now. Like that's the test. And so, look, I'm blessed that my child was able to at least begin to show that last fall.
Absolutely.
I wasn't, to be perfectly honest, nobody in the Goosby household thought that was going to happen. So we were thinking, okay, we're going to get through this season. He'll continue to get some snaps, and then, hopefully
Just keep
25 will be his.
grinding.
Just keep grinding, and so you never know, right? Like
Yeah.
you just never know. And
Gotta
so
be ready.
so what Sark said was spot on. It's like he's seen others have success. Obviously, he roomed with Kelvin on the road last year, so he's in the same room. They're going through the same notes.
Right.
He's teaching him, even though Kelvin's young, right? People don't understand, but
Easy.
Kelvin's still really young.
Yeah.
But he did convey the information to Trevor,
Mhm.
the confidence, the support, and that is the one thing I'll have to say. It doesn't matter who you are. You have to be willing to accept tough times and rough times, but the teammates, they do support you.
Oh
They
yes.
they do they do give you, the support that you truly need to be a better person and a better player. You just have to be willing to accept that support and, bide your time.
That's it. For sure. I will say the same thing. Just what Sark said literally was almost verbatim, like what Alabama, Coach Saban.
Yes.
He told us the same thing. It's if we can get these kids to look at where you're going to be, not just where you are right now. You're going up against the best of the best in practices. You're only developing and getting better. It's where do you want to end up,
That's right.
And Jaydon, he knows what his goal is and he's working towards it and he's happy,
Yeah.
whether that's on the field right now or
Yep.
not. I'm progressing, I'm growing, and I'm going to get to my goal. That's it.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
1000%.
Oh, it's be so fun to watch them when they're out there.
I know we are so
Yes, it
amped.
is.
Like, look,
Oh yeah, listen, I'm just telling you, I think the Chapmans are more excited when Trevor gets in than
Oh,
I am.
heck yeah. I know I scream.
Because it's
love
funny
that.
because your husband Trevor jumped off sides and I almost lost it.
I remember
And
that.
you remember that? And your husband looked at me and he's like, Goosby,
Speak
there's
to
my
Ethel.
man.
He's talking about
He
when
looked
Trevor
he looked at me and he said, we're gonna be all right, Gooseby, don't worry about it.
when
I was like,
he
okay.
jumped outside. He
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
He jumped
yeah.
outside.
You go crazy on the sun.
You saw that? Yeah. And it took you giving me advice to say, we're gonna be all right, brother. Don't worry. Hey, we're good. Next play. And then I had to take a deep breath, and then I was like, "Yep, you're right. I
Get
need to
back at
listen.
it.
I need to listen to my fellow dad." And he's right. So it's truly a family affair. But to watch those young men go through hard times, hard things,
Yep.
has been exciting and fun because
And
they're
grow
coming
from
through it.
Yep.
They grow from it. Yeah,
Yep. They
it's
do.
big
That's
time.
That's amazing. Well,
Richard,
you said
Richard, real
it's
quick, real
exciting.
quick.
Oh, yeah.
Richard says, "What's up, chat?"
What up, man?
Hey.
Hey.
I love it. Well, Michael, you were talking about it's been exciting to watch them grow up through the hard times, come through this, come together, bond as a family. So I want to ask this. We've got a couple of questions coming up. Let's talk about the game day atmosphere a little bit, that family atmosphere, what's around, the hype. You were talking about A&M. It was crowded, it was packed, and the families are there rooting everybody on.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about, DKR? We've seen go through a little bit of a revolution. Can y'all speak to that a little bit? Has the atmosphere at home changed? Is there a particular vitriol on the away game atmospheres? Talk about DKR a little bit. We'll jump into game day atmosphere in general.
Look, for me, when we were going through recruiting, the major difference, even just from the recruiting time frame in the stadium, as opposed to the last couple of years, is crazy. We were already impressed, 2022, 23 time frame. We were impressed, and it's just gotten so
bigger.
much. Oh my gosh,
It's gotten bigger. Like
it's amazing.
You can't walk around that if you're not there by a certain time. Like,
oh man,
obviously Jeanine and the moms like to do a prayer group. We like to watch the boys walk. I mean, we have
We do it
there's a
all.
routine, right? And so,
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna lie, like there are times where I have to kind of, or let's just say bogard my way to the front
Yeah.
so we can have a spot on the front. Because
Yes, we
we
do.
we do have to do, but
We
the thing
do.
is, you're almost having to get there almost 3 hours in advance just
Yep.
to see our kids walk.
Yep.
There's that many people there game
Lined up.
day
Yes.
lined up, to see, Bevo and the whole shebang, and then by the time we get to the front to try to see our kids, it's like 140 degrees outside, right? So we've been sitting out there for at least 2 hours at a minimum, and
Yes.
and sometimes we'll have to, if Jeanine gets there early, and I
Hey,
know they have
hey, y'all come over here.
yeah, you save a spot, but the
Yeah.
but the game day atmosphere is just
Amazing.
it is pretty amazing. I have to
It is.
admit, they show up and they show up early, and they are ecstatic to see any parts of the program
Did you
when it
did
when
you
it comes
guys
to
do a
that.
lot of games when you were being recruited? Because I remember going to some of the other schools and the games. The
Yep.
environment is nothing like Texas.
No,
I'm
it's
sorry. I
Okay,
don't
Jeanine,
even.
it's
you
like
got to
it's
throw shade here. You got to throw shade here. Who is the worst of the schools
Oh
that you visited
no.
as far as
No,
environment goes?
no.
As far as environment, no, come on, we got to get some
It's a
tea
safe
here. Come on,
place. It's a
just
safe place.
No,
it's a
she's
safe
this is
space.
it's a safe space.
no.
Well,
Yeah.
Janine, you go ahead. You go
Michael,
ahead.
all right, Jeanine, you're gonna play this safe way. Michael, I'll ask you. Come on, was there because we love to
I
think like
got
Texas
one.
is
I got
great.
one.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll
Janine,
go
you
right.
go.
Okay,
Give us
my
one, Janine.
one for game day could have been better was okay, I'll go with TCU.
I'm gonna say the same thing. Listen,
I'm
she's
just
right.
saying.
It's like I will say this. She's
Jose.
right. TCU was pretty boring. I mean,
Oh
Sonny
yeah.
and his wife are awesome.
Yeah.
They're great people, and I was impressed by them. But that game day atmosphere,
No
yeah,
bueno.
Was
it's a
lacking
little,
a bit.
yeah, no
Oh
bueno.
Well,
Yeah.
when
Exactly
Texas
right. It
comes
was.
to town, then things liven up a bit, right?
Oh,
You
yeah.
guys were there when
I got a number 2. I
ago.
got a number 2 since you guys opened
right.
up the floodgates.
We
Number
did. We got to ask the question.
as big as this school is, and as much what do you call it, like rituals or
Traditions.
traditions
It's a
Traditions,
that they
yeah.
tradition.
have,
Sure.
A&M.
Yeah.
The pregame environment and all of that is kind of like, it almost feels very sterile, like you've rehearsed this, we're ready for it,
I will say I tailgated, and I'm very grateful for the folks we tailgated with. They welcomed us in. Some of my Texas friends had some A&M families, so their family welcomed us in. But I would agree, my very burnt orange, humble opinion.
Yeah.
There is a difference, in the
It's not
the
that
level
it's
of tailgating
horrible,
and
but it's
the
just the
atmosphere.
energy
Right.
is very
Different. It's just
So
different, right?
so I'll add something to that. So we had I went early, really early to the tailgating because I know a number of A&M Aggies, and
yes.
all phenomenal people in my opinion to me.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
And I to be honest with you, I had a great time. Now here's the kicker. Their food off the charts. Like I will say this, their tailgating, they do take their tailgating to a whole other level when it comes to. I'm like, wow, you guys do all and I took it with I looked at it and like, man, what great food. What I mean, they do it to the nines.
Now, was that
Here's
because
the
you were
difference.
playing Texas?
Yes. See,
Yeah.
and again, I think because that rivalry
You
was
turned out the
back,
best.
and they brought out
Yeah.
the people that I was with. I mean, they had everything. I don't drink alcohol, but man, they had every sort of food, seafood, chicken, steak.
Yeah.
They were just feeding
Smorgasbord.
everybody smorgasbord. So I'll give A&M credit. I thought TCU was pretty, kind of,
Sleepy.
yeah.
Very
It
sleepy.
wasn't, yeah, it wasn't
Room
anything
for
like that.
improvement in
Very
There's
Fort Worth.
much.
Yeah.
definitely some room for improvement, but
They did have a
but
cannon.
they did, yeah, they did, yeah,
It's like a pop
yeah.
gun.
It really was.
All right. I love it.
I'll give them some credit. The Sonny and them were phenomenal, so they treated us
I,
extremely well.
Yes.
That's
As
awesome.
they
That's
should.
awesome to hear. All right. So speaking of game day atmospheres, love to hear about DKR growing. Is there a game coming up that you are maybe anxious about or super excited about on this year's schedule? Home and away. Or what are the two games? Let's start with the away game that you're most anticipating, and then the home game that y'all are most anticipating.
See, I'm anticipating for different reasons. I'm anticipating Kentucky only because my family's in Kentucky, and that's going to be experience the game day stuff with them. You know,
be phenomenal.
That I'm looking forward to that.
Well, I'm hanging out.
Now,
with
what
Chapmans
colors are they going to be wearing?
Yeah.
They're in burnt orange, right? Right.
Oh, they are definitely in burnt orange.
Excellent.
They just live in Kentucky.
There we go. All right.
I'll definitely be with the Chapmans that day.
Yes.
He was like, look, reserve my space.
I got you all. I got you all. Yes.
Chat says at Georgia.
Oh, he's looking forward to Georgia game. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this for Georgia, we all experienced this. The weirdest thing for me that I'm bracing myself for already is just having grown ass men bark in my face. I don't think I'll ever get used to that.
They do it.
It's odd. It's odd. All right, Michael, how about you? As far as away games, what's one that you're?
Look, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm gonna prep everybody on this. I think the Ohio State we're gonna be in for it's gonna be enemy territory, flat
Absolutely.
out, and because it's funny because I've never been up there, right? And so the Ohio State fans are extremely proud of their program, their team, but I just heard it's on a different level in Ohio. The people I met in Dallas or Arlington when we played them this past year, they were some of the nicest people I ever seen.
Yes.
Like they were really cool.
They were fine.
Chill.
They're great.
I will say don't anticipate that same level.
Yeah, no. I'm not.
Oh, darn it.
It's funny. When I go up, one of my good friends, he played quarterback up there at Ohio State. So he lives up there. His kids, he and his wife live up there, and he was here in Dallas for a number of years, and he and I got pretty close. And so I'm gonna let him kind of be my, let's just say, chaperone initially, and kind of get me acclimated to the situation.
I think that's a smart move.
You know what I mean?
Did have a question.
But I did hear it's going to be very intense.
It will be wild. It will. So we do have a question from Hate OU pertaining to Ohio State. What can y'all rank? What is the stress level on a game day in a place like Ohio State?
You're saying from the parents' perspective?
For y'all, for the parents. For the parents. We know the kids are
prepared. My son is on the field. It's going to be at like...
It's going to be like
11. Crank it up.
I'll be pacing. That's what I do in basketball. I pace.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, it's going to be flat out war, to be honest with you. And for me as a dad, as much as I think I'm cool and calm, I'm not.
Inside it's just...
Yeah, I'm chewing on my nails. I'm pacing just like Jeanine.
Yeah.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous for my kids. But the one thing that's always held for me, kind of like when we were at Arkansas, Jeanine.
Oh gosh.
We just knew that they were prepared.
They were ready.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were ready. Yeah. And so whatever the challenge was going to be for that day, that's what they are. It's the only thing that's the calming effect for me is I know that they prepared.
They're ready for it. Yeah.
And so that for me has always been the calming factor. But those hostile environments are real. Like that A&M situation was real. Like they did not want to they did not want to lose to us. Period. Point blank. I don't care who you are. So they were definitely not trying to hear anything that we were saying. Like we were a small minority sitting in that corner. And you two were there too. Like y'all were up there screaming with the rest of us, and we were just. But boy, when we scored that first touchdown and shut that entire right side of that stadium down, and those people couldn't do all that swaying and
all that
whooping and all that stuff.
The rehearsed.
It was a good
day. They practice that stuff.
They do.
Right. Okay, so we have to talk basketball because expanding on your family's amazing talents. You know, your boys that are at Texas love to play basketball, but you also have other sons that are basketball players. Jeanine, your son Evan is at McLennan Community College. He's a JUCO All-American. Congratulations!
Let's go.
Yes,
Congratulations.
congratulations. And we know Trevor, your son Austin Goosby, you said he's class of 2026, same as my daughter, 2026 juniors. So big time recruit as well. So Sean Miller apparently was in town this morning, Texas
He was.
coach. And this is Melissa Basketball posted this on Twitter today. Shout out Coach Miller, Coach Liggy for coming to watch us work out this morning. You're always welcome in, Melissa. We found that little nugget this morning. So let's talk a little bit about having multi-sport families, balancing that, maybe the differences between football recruiting and basketball recruiting and that kind of stuff. So Jeanine, we'll let you go first because you've experienced that, and now Michael, you're coming up in that basketball.
Yes.
My experience is a little different because of the route in which Evan had to go, you know, but it is in my experience is completely different. You know, completely
it's
different.
like night and day.
Night and day.
Football from basketball recruiting.
Oh, yes. Football from basketball, night and day. You know, basketball is just a different beast. I'll tell you that much, you know, because in this town where we are, you know, we have so many high schools and the talent is just spread like, you know, so we're really not getting the exposure and or able to compete the way we should. So like, yeah, the route that he had to go was the JUCO route, which actually turned out to be, and I'll say this to any parent, because we used to, all the kids used to think it's D1 or bus, you know what I mean? And this turned out to be for him one of the best things that has happened, you know, growth wise, maturity wise, development, the fact that he was able to just dig deep in and just pull out this monster. I mean, this last season he did, I didn't even know who my kid was. I did. Let me not say that, but you know, he just really showed up.
He turned it. He turned it on. And Jeanine, let me add something to that. The reason why I think that happened for him is because it was his time.
Absolutely.
But the challenging component for him, JUCO is not what it was when I was growing up.
Right.
And so JUCO now has, even unless you're in the top 50, maybe top 75.
Yes.
The high school kids are kind of they're not valued as much.
Agreed.
So with him going to JUCO and gaining that experience as a young man, he will probably have a better experience and probably have a better opportunity to level up as whatever that level is he wants to go to coming out of JUCO versus coming out of high school. And that's
I agree. That's 100%.
Yeah, and that's because they changed the rules. They've kind of reiterated. The college coaches and the NCAA has done a great job of kind of reiterating now, like, hey, there's something to be said for development. Like coming out of high school, unless you're really, really good, yeah, brother, they're not trying to hear anything. Like they're like, yeah, you go off and we'll take that JUCO kid who's been through some hardships
and been through it, and it's grown.
Yes, and we'll take that kid, and he'll be fine in our program. We'll help him get to his level, and he'll help us get to our level. Because I'm just telling you, as a dad who's got a top 20 recruit kid in the country, I see it on both sides. Like we're blessed because Austin has kind of worked to where he is, but honestly, if he wasn't a top recruit in the country, we'd be in the same boat. We'd be in the same boat as Jeanine. Like, is this better to go? You know, NAIA? Is it JUCO? Whatever the case may be.
A great experience all around. So I'll just be honest in saying that.
Well, that's really good to hear too. I mean, and I love y'all reinforcing this idea that not every path is the same for every athlete. Not every athlete's the same. So not every path is going to be the same. And, you know, Michael, to your point, the landscape of college athletics has changed drastically in the past 5 years. And especially in a sport like basketball, where, you do have some players that go the one and done route. You know, there's a lot of transferring. There is something to be said for developing leadership, showing that you are reliable, showing, you know, like you mentioned, Jeanine, developing and showing schools, these D1 schools, hey, we know we're going to get a rock solid player. It's not a question with a one and done kid right out of high school. They've developed, they've shown consistency, they've shown leadership, they've grown. And you know, when you're bringing them in from a JUCO school, that you've got a leader, you've got a kid that's been there, done that, that's going to have
and ready to go
and is ready to roll. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
They become a plug and play.
I love y'all talking
That's
about that.
Plug and play.
So Michael, I will. We do have to ask this, right? So, well, I have to ask this with the potential. There's potential. We're not going to force any hands here, but there is potential that both of your sons could be playing at Texas
Look at Jeanine.
at the same time. Yeah. Is the trash talking between the two sons? Do Trevor and Austin trash talk each other about that potential? or
No,
are they, is it a little different?
you know what? It is it's a little different, right? Like Cynthia always tells the story, like Austin is truly he's the baby. And so he's always been beat up by his brothers in so many ways, right? Physically
And so
challenged. He's the baby, right? So, but that's why he's so good. And Cynthia always tells that story. And so I wouldn't say that there's trash talking. Like the other two, the oldest one, Grant, who is still an amazing basketball player, he challenges Austin on a whole nother mental level with the game. Trevor just doesn't, like Trevor always says, well, I just don't play my brother anymore because it's just
that's right. We get that.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like Trevor doesn't even want to play with him. He's like, no, I'm not getting on the court with him, Dad. Unless he's on my team, I'm not playing against him. Because Austin has gotten that good.
Better
as
than
much as and he's gotten better. Like, dude, like I haven't played Austin in like a decade. So I stopped playing that kid a long time ago, right? But
to
your point,
Trevor likes to hold on. Oh, go ahead. Yes.
No, I was just gonna say to what you're asking is that they really are more supportive of each other.
Yes.
And so they want to make sure that Austin gets pushed and is placed in a situation where he's being challenged and living up to that billing of being this kid and that kid. They just want him to continue to work on who he is as a player and a person, because they know what's coming and the opportunities for him. So they constantly encourage him and in their brotherly way about hey bro, you need to do this, you need to do that. But it's all in love. And I will say, going back to what you asked Jeanine about the recruiting side, she's right. Like football recruiting is nothing like basketball. Nothing. And because there's smaller numbers from a roster perspective, but there's a lot more money. There's more money involved. And so it's interesting. Like we've never really been locked into the NIL side of it for Trevor or for Austin. Like that's just not the pathway we're going to take.
Thank you.
It's really the same strategy with Trevor. Like, listen, you've got to go in, you got to prove your worth, you got to work hard, you got to fit into the culture. You've got to be the best human being that you can be, and the best student athlete you can be. And then whatever your talent is going to do and help you, achieve your goals, then great. Then that's what you want to do, and we're going to help you do that. Just like we hope that if Coach Miller is that coach and that staff is that staff, then that's where you'll land, right? And so, but the basketball side is different now. It's a little bit more, let's just say murky.
Very murky. It was all fluffy in football. It was fun and lovely. Basketball.
Yeah,
basketball's a little more cutthroat, huh?
Basketball is, it's not the same. But I will say this: I'll give Coach Miller and Coach Malik and those guys the credit. They were there sharp this morning at 7:18 this morning for practice and workouts, and it was good to meet Coach Miller. I'd never met him before. Didn't know the man from anyone, and he was awesome. He helped Cynthia and I understand a little bit about who he is and kind of what they're envisioning for the program. And the number one thing I will say to you about what he said to us, more than that I took away from it, was, man, he's surrounded by greatness in that athletic program, in that athletic department under Del Conte. And so, he's like, you can be intimidated when you've got national champions over here and national
Yeah.
champions over there, and the
Yeah.
women's are national champions here, and the golf team is national. He's like, wow, we're way behind. Like we got to get on. We got to pick it up. And so he was like, yeah, there's a lot of pressure, but he was ready for the challenge. He said, look, we're coming here to win championships, and we got to build it brick by brick, and we want your son to be a part of it. And so that was fun to hear and see.
That's awesome.
But like Jeanine said earlier, show me and that's how Cynthia is. She's like, look, you can talk all you want, but for them to show up this morning at 7:18 this morning in Melissa, Texas, come on now. That told me a lot. Yeah, that
Yes.
means something, right? So,
Yes, it does.
but yeah, it was a good meeting this morning, and it is a challenge, though. I will say this: Janine's pathway is a challenge.
Yeah.
Austin's pathway is a challenge, but I think he's built for it, and I think he'll be fine.
Yes.
I mean, his name is Austin.
I was gonna say that. Right? I was gonna say that when I was crossing my fingers.
But Jeanine, you've known Austin now for over 3+ years. You knew him on the recruiting trail. You knew him on the recruiting trail,
Little
and
baby.
Austin don't say nothing.
He don't.
Austin is quiet as a church mouse, man. Hey, Miss Janine, and that's about it.
That's all I'll get.
He needs to get into the communications
That's
program.
what he'll get in.
Miracle Martinez, she's a great friend of the show, watches every week, and she said, from this Texas X, I appreciate y'all entrusting your sons to the university and staff. Thanks for sharing your time with us tonight. And she missed you at baseball last night, Megan.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We have a few rapid fire questions. Some of them we've kind of thrown into the conversation.
Go ahead. Go for it.
Some of them we've kind of thrown into the conversation already, but we have a few that are just fun to ask. So what is a fun fact that you would like us to know about your son? We'll let Jeanine go first.
He's a good dancer, but he will not show anybody.
What? Of course he's got footwork, right?
He's good. He's good.
So is he going to have a celebration dance, perhaps?
I think that we'll leave that to Goosby. Because you see the little video of him dancing. I said, look at Trevor.
Right. So
dancing.
So that was going to be that's what I was going to say. I was going to say the same thing. Trevor's a really good dancer. Mm-hmm. He's just a large human dancing. That's what I call it.
He just does more of it.
Did y'all saw the video of him, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
the on-field celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's his Louisiana. That's his Louisiana. What do you call it? Louisiana something. But I'm like, bro, you are. I said, listen, hey, those kind of moves, they'll get you paid at the next level, brother.
Exactly.
It's a big kid moving smooth. You love to see it. You love to see
smooth.
it.
All right, we'll start with Jeanine here. When your son comes home, and I'm sharing a picture now of you with your son. When your son comes home for the weekend or break or whatever, what's the food that you need to stock in the house?
Dirty rice. It's always what he wants to make. Dirty rice by the pound.
What?
Dirty
okay.
rice.
All right, Michael, what food do you have to have?
Well, it's first off, I don't feed him. His mother does.
His mom does.
So I can't fully answer that, but what I will tell you is that you'd be surprised. Trevor doesn't eat a lot of food like you would think he does.
Right.
He's not a big eater in the sense of like he is. Okay, let me back up here. He eats now more than he ever did before. Right. But his mother, most of the time, she's a really she likes to cook for him. So, she cooks his meals. She doesn't really like for him to go out. But I will say that he eats everything she cooks. It doesn't matter what it is. For the most part, he eats all of her food, whatever the case may be. And in some cases, he's hot because there's not more food in the house. So to answer that question, I don't know if he has a favorite food. He's a big steak guy. He loves steak, but I would say his mother probably knows best more than I do.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Megan,
all right. Yeah. So I'll say this. We talked a little bit about NIL, how the game has changed. So do you have some thoughts on that current state of the NIL? Of course, we've heard about some players perhaps threatening to hold out and shopping around. That might not be going the way that they're expecting. So what are your thoughts on the current state of NIL in college athletics right now? Positive, negative, neutral?
I'm neutral. I'm going to say neutral because there's reasons why people are going after money, and I don't know people's personal lives and And I'm not knocking anybody's hustle.
Right. Can't
For
blame a kid
me,
for, right.
And for mine, that's not been our focus, and it's not our focus. You know, what's meant for Jaydon is meant for Jaydon, you know, and that's just what it is. He's, you know, not like we're just, oh, he's not hurting for anything. You know, if you're playing and that is what comes with it, okay, get it. But it's not the focus, you know. And for those who make it their focus, hey, I don't knock your hustle, but
she's not for us.
Not for y'all. Yeah.
I would echo the same sentiment to Jeanine and the Chatman family.
Yeah.
That's never been the focus from day one. I will say that Cynthia does a great job of making sure that the main thing is the main thing. And we try to do it as a family. The money is a part of the world we live in now. And so we have to address it when it comes about. But for the most part, it's never the lead in. You're only going to get rewarded based upon the effort and the time that you put in. And so whatever that is, each to his own. Everybody has their own strategy. I personally think that I'm excited that the boys get a chance to potentially leave college with a starting point. Like
that
you
is
know,
Yeah.
yeah, like I didn't have that. I played a little bit of pro ball, not a lot, but I played a little bit. And
he always says that.
as a free agent, you don't have any money. Like you're chasing a dream, right? And so for me to look at my kids and say, hey, you can leave school with some money in your bank, and if the pros never work out, you're going to be just fine. You're walking away with probably a couple of degrees.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a lot more money than the average American starts his or her life out in the real world, right? So that's the excitement. Yeah, no debt,
no college loans,
no college debt. I mean, you're in the. I mean, basically, they should be in the black,
right?
By the time they leave, whatever that is. If you're $1 into the black, hey, that's better than what most people are, right?
Debt.
So, from an NIL conversation, I think they made a tragic mistake, letting it out the bag, letting the cat out of the bag without any, let's just say, some basic, simple rules. And so, but I'm not mad at the kids for, well, I'm not mad at the kids for asking for what they think they can get. I get it. Each to his own. I'm the last person to ever say, don't go get your money. But for me and for the Goosbys and I'll let Jeanine add to that. You're only going to get what you earn.
That's it.
You're only going to get what you earn. And so NIL, man, I'm blessed that my boys will probably, do very well. Austin, out of all of them, will probably do the best, in my opinion, but because the basketball money is ridiculous. But
it's different. Yeah.
But they'll have each other, right? Like my sons, just like Janine's sons, they'll have each other to support.
That's right.
And they'll have an opportunity to start their lives for the rest of their lives. If they play pro ball, that's those are blessings, but I don't ever count on it. But it's our job, it's my job as the dad and Cynthia as the mother to try to give them a pathway and a support system.
That's right.
We're not going to just let them out there to fend for themselves with millions of dollars in their pockets. No. And I'm just telling you, Cynthia ain't going to let them spend a dime.
Hello.
It's that savings plan.
I think savings plan. That's my husband.
It really is. Y'all have so many parallels. I love this so much.
I want my kids to spend up their money. That's not what I'm saying. Save, of course. But I'm like, hey, what do you want to do?
Look, I'm like you, though, Jeanine. I'm like, hey, man, you work hard. Go splurge on yourself. Treat yourself. And Cynthia's like, no, you're good. You're on a budget.
You don't need it.
Okay.
That's just how she is. All right,
go ahead. Another question of the kind of things that were different, like back in our day, right? That the kids are facing now, that the athletes are facing now, NIL, transfer portal, those things, but also social media and the way social media will build you up and tear you down. Or how do you tell your children? How do you advise your children about managing social media, being in the spotlight, because they are athletes in the spotlight?
Jeanine?
No. Well, I don't really have to tell mine too much. I have to tell mine, hey, you might want to put something, but I mean,
son, make a post.
Right. Are you alive?
Build a brand.
But hello. But I do tell him, just don't buy into what you read. Everybody's not, nowadays everybody's a coach, a ref, a commentator, trainer. Good God, everybody is
A
skilled in
runner,
their
an agent, everybody can
exactly.
represent you. I mean, all
Tune
the
them
above.
out, right? And that's what I'm. Just tune them out. Don't you know where your advice comes from? Go to the people you trusted resources or trusted individuals. Go to them. But the stuff that you hear on this internet,
Yeah.
you
You have to put it to the side. You really do.
yeah,
And especially being at Texas, it's echoed like 1,000 times,
well, so
a
much.
thousandfold. So you have to really, again, that's the reason why I
The
think
good and the bad,
someone
I
like,
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
seriously.
but that's why you have to be excited for Jaden and really all the boys that can stay focused and locked in, because
Mhm.
I'm not sure I could have done it. Like, I'm just telling you, they're on a platform on a whole nother level,
Yeah.
but they seem to be grounded and stay grounded in the fact that what they say and what they do is being monitored.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's what, but see, I think that comes from Sark. Like,
I do
he's
too.
had those conversations and said,
Oh yeah.
look, who you are today and what you are every day is who you are. So, you know,
See, that's going back to
that's
the point. The standard is the standard, so it's
standard is the standard.
everywhere.
Yeah. So don't
Everywhere.
act a fool. Don't do foolish things, because there's going to be consequences. And he knows it. He's told them.
Right.
And
And,
you've seen it. I
and
mean,
he's
we'll just
seen
say
it.
that we've seen it.
Yeah. He's seen it. He understands it. And I think that's what gives the boys confidence. Besides,
Yeah,
obviously, I think as parents, we've tried to do the best we can to give them a good foundation, right? So that
yeah.
they understand, hey, you're representing the Chapmans. That's the name on the back of the jersey, just like the Goosebys. And so you've got others counting on you to do the right thing. And I think the boys do a great job.
I do too. I
They've done a
agree.
phenomenal job. So NIL wise and media and all that stuff, you know,
It's like what
I
Tap
wish
said. Their
yeah,
locker room is just they don't pay attention. It's like
they
they
don't.
tune them out.
Taff
So
said it best. Yeah. Yeah. They
yeah,
stay locked in.
Well, that's nice to hear. I think, we see it a lot. We're fans. Rocky and I are obviously fans. We've been around Texas for a long time. And
yeah.
and it's immense pressure. It's an increasingly aggressive world out there on social
Mhm.
media. And I think, I can speak for myself. I think a lot of fans feel really confident and comfortable and comforted by hearing y'all say, look, what Sark says from the second he starts recruiting, the
Oh yeah,
message stays the same, the
yeah.
mission is the same, and the follow through is there as well. And that's not just with football related things. It's also, Sark talks about growing men, developing characters, and it's nice to hear that. That's something we've heard from a lot of families going through.
Right.
It's just that consistent message, and
Consistency.
watch, and then the proof is in the pudding, right? He's
Yep.
walking the walk. And that's so great to hear, because it can be a nasty world out there. So having that confidence, from the fan perspective, and seeing the families say, yeah, we feel comfortable with our kid there. We
Oh
love
yeah.
seeing how he's growing. That's a great thing to hear. Truly a great thing to hear.
All right, another question. Fan Day, fan appreciation. This is kind of a two-part question. One, we're not getting a spring game. Thoughts on that? We know Sark has talked about this off season with so many new faces, not just players but also coaches, that he really wanted to focus the program this spring on development and coaching and getting everyone on, in alignment in one page, and also. Kind of going with that, every single practice is going to be used for development, so they're not going to have a spring game, and instead they're doing Fan Day, which is a fire sale, where they clear out a bunch of cool random Texas
It's
gear.
just, listen, it's just a bunch of drinking and eating.
Yeah, Street Fest, Street
That's
What
it.
we
Fest,
like to do. I mean,
You
on-field
know what I mean? Like,
experience.
look, at the end of the day, we understand. I mean, I know for myself, because the boys are in football, what, 10 months out of the year, 12,
mhm.
or 10,
Feels
9 to
like
10 months out of the year, it feels like. I think he's trying to protect the players that have obviously been in the program. But
Mhm.
he's right when he says there's a lot of new young men coming into the program that he needs more time with. The staff needs more time to develop mentally, as well as physically. And he understands that what they're about to go through, in the 15 games or whatever the number ends up being, that's going to be a challenge. And so if he's not teaching those young men the standard and the way by which they want them to be coached, and you're just rolling those kids out there hoping that they're going to do okay. And that's Sark's not going to do that. He's not going to take that risk for the kids or for the young men, but he's also not going to start to tear down what he's already begun to build up as a staff. So we understand. Like I was like, I didn't have. Yeah, we get it. Like I didn't have a problem. That's just one less game I got to sit in the heat for.
Hello.
Honestly, because it's a glorified practice. That's all it is. And I know the fans want to see the new world and kind of see the new faces, and I get it. Like I'm excited for the new season as well. But
it's coming.
But it's coming. But I think what he's done with and what Del Conte has done is said, look, we're going to give you a little sneak peek of what that fall world's going to look like. We'll let you come out, buy the gear, you'll get to, your kids can run around and adults can, drink and be excited and be on Bevo Boulevard. You'll get to see the kids. You'll get to see the young men, let them sign autographs. And that's cool. Like I'm totally happy with that
right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I also think it's protecting the program. Like I think he has to protect the program because you just get too many injuries. I mean, look how many running backs we lost last year. I mean, it just,
yeah.
and so I'm totally for it. I get it. I understand it. And it makes sense to me.
Yep. I agree with you. I do. I mean, yes, am I a little sad? I mean, I was looking forward to spring game, of course.
Yeah, because we haven't seen we're right. We haven't seen the boys since January.
Right. I'm but I get it.
Are y'all coming to Austin that day?
It depends on how my recovery is going.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. We don't. I don't know yet. Right now, Austin's got to play in and you know this, Jeanine. He's got to play in a Nike EYBL event that weekend.
Gotta go.
In Arizona.
My daughter has to play in College Station that day.
Oh God, you can miss that. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I haven't pressed going to that event, but she should. It's a good tournament. She should be at. Just rugby. I had another question.
Next question. What's the next question?
I had another question and I forgot. Megan, did you have one? I had like 3 or 4, and now I'm
losing the place. Yeah, I did want to say. So again, without pressing too hard, you don't give away any secrets you can't give away. But is there something that you think? Is there going to be a surprise in the upcoming season? Is if you had to pull out your crystal ball and say, "Ooh, this is going to be different." Fans might not anticipate this. What would your crystal ball say?
Ooh.
It's a good question.
Great question. I'm like, my crystal ball ain't working. No.
Girl, it's cloudy. I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, that's a great question. I will say this. I think the anticipation of Arch and him playing obviously is at an all-time high, right? But I think surprisingly, you're going to see him play a lot better than most first-year quarterbacks in a sense. I think you're going to see the O-line, and this is just me, so I'm speaking as Mike Goosby, but
that's right.
I think the offensive line, as great as Jake and that last group was with All-Americans, I think they taught those boys and those young men how to play at a high level, and I think you're going to see it. I think you're going to see Arch play a lot better than maybe some people are willing to give him credit right now.
I agree with that. Hey.
So it's going to be exciting. That's what I would say. You're about to see a show, so get your popcorn ready.
That's right. Now a show is definite.
Hey, we are here for high level football.
Texas does.
I remembered my question, but first we have to show you that CB said nobody showed up to OU's game and spring game. And here it is. You can see there are players out in the field. Maybe it was early because there was a line for John Mateer's autograph after the game. But this is supposed to be their spring game.
Wow.
To be fair, so there was. I saw that post.
Yeah, no.
No. I'm gonna be honest about it. Like that post showed last year and this year side by side. And taken about the same time, right? Like 5 minutes after it kicked off. And last year and this year was very different for OU. So clearly my burnt orange heart is breaking for them.
Last year was also everybody was having their welcome to the SEC parties, right? Where OU had like inflatable balloons, and Texas had pit bull. Yeah. I remembered my other question.
Yes.
What players are you hearing about that are just going to surprise Texas? And Megan, your question reminded me that who is just really, we hear from the coaches and, players that they're calling that are really going to surprise, but who are you hearing that is just really ready for a breakout year, or maybe a young player that's ready to go, coming in ready to go?
Who am I hearing? Well, I'm hearing that darn Jaydon Chatman is about. No, I'm just kidding.
That's amazing, girl. Gonna be amazing.
He is ready.
Here first.
You heard it here first. No,
I love that. I love that.
I'm going to be honest. Moms, we get really. I will speak for this mom. Get really anxious, and I'm itching more than my kid. He's bought into I'm ready to see him play. So I tune out a lot of the preseason talks and all of that. I have to tune that stuff out. I have to just let it ride and play out so that I don't develop any feelings or, oh my God, he's not. I just gotta let it ride. So I don't know. I pray that everybody that's supposed to do well is doing what they need to do and stays safe and stays healthy. And that's where I'm at. I don't know enough right now to hear, who's up and coming.
Yeah, we don't, I'll be honest with you. We don't, I mean, for me, and I think Jeanine would agree that as parents of players, we don't really hear a lot about really kind of outside of the offensive line room.
Yeah, no.
And even the offensive line room, they kind of keep, they're tight about their information. They don't share a lot of information with us as parents. And we don't really get involved too much in hearing about new players. I mean, look, honestly, we won't meet any of the new parents until the first game.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is. And so we, for me as a dad, I just pray that the team as a whole comes in with the right spirit and the right mindset, because they've got a target on their back, but the kids that have been in the program have seen it and how short we came up, right? So that's what helps the growth. But the other side of it is those young kids, we have to rely on them. I mean, I'm sorry, but Colin Simmons and those guys have a big responsibility to carry the team in some regard, just like Trevor and Jaydon and everybody on that offensive line room. They've got a big responsibility to be prepared every week. And so to try to target, or not target, but just to try to identify one or two kids or young men, it's hard because there's so many that contribute in many different ways. I'm just excited to see this program take that next step towards a national championship.
Oh yeah.
I love hearing that. I think that's a good. I felt my blood pressure go up and ready to run through a wall when it's like, hey, being that close to a national championship, playing for a national championship, and to not quite cross that line. I love hearing it. Sounds like this team is hungry. This team is motivated.
Well, they're young. They're
right.
Young. That's the thing. I wish people could understand, and that's why Sark, I think, did what he did with the spring efforts, which is he knows how young his team is, but he also knows how talented they are. So what do? You don't burn them out. You teach them how to progress in the proper way, because Sark's already taken two years and got us to the almost to the you know what I mean? So now it's like he said, it's time to kick the door in.
Heck yeah.
And do something. And so I think he understands exactly the heartbeat and the pulse of
this.
Kick
the door in, huh?
Yeah.
I love it. I'm ready.
But I think he understands the pulse and the heartbeat of the team. You know what I mean? And so he realizes, okay, we're at a crossroads right now. And in order for us to get into that world of champions and building the program in the proper way, we got to kick the door in. And these young guys, combined with some guys that are experienced, we got to take that group and get to the next level. That's what I would say.
Well, I will say this: if Sark's performance so far and his team's performance so far and development so far is any indicator, we're going to see some of the best damn play from a Texas football team that we've seen in a long time. We are so excited to watch this development. So excited to watch your kids get out there and just like you just said, kick the door in. We're ready. We're ready, man. Whew, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Love it.
Yeah, we have over 600 people right now who are
What?
watching. And yeah,
people are ready. People are ready.
636 right now streaming.
All right, it's the Chapman and Goosby Wednesday nights. Let's go.
All right.
We'll just give y'all the passwords and y'all can do the show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, we got to have y'all there moderating now. Y'all got to queue us up.
No, yeah, exactly.
Fortunately, we have Facebook, X, Twitter, all the different ways people can watch. They can log in on the YouTube, and then we'll post the audio tomorrow on the podcast so people can listen over the weekend as they get ready, as they drive on the road to their Easter plans. Do you guys have Easter plans with your family or friends?
I do. Just normal church and then come home and cook. The normal, but my boys are going to be here, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. We've got basketball, so church and basketball.
Church and ball.
That's it.
Hey, that's fun.
Easter's April 20th. My mom's birthday is 4/20. So
wow.
Easter Sunday is her birthday this year. And she was actually born on an Easter Sunday years ago on April 20th. This is the first time in her life Easter is her birthday again.
It's on Easter Sunday, yeah.
This year it's Easter Sunday. So that's pretty cool because usually it's not this late into the year. So that we'll be doing birthday things with my mom on Easter Sunday.
Enjoy it.
Yes.
Mama's
good for you guys.
Yeah. We want to give a quick shout out to what the sponsor of our show, and then we want to come back and wrap up with you guys. So just 1 second, we want to give a quick shout out.
Yep.
Yeah, again, y'all, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. We're talking about football coming up. We're talking about all these events, Fan Fest coming up. If you are looking for a place to stay and you don't want to pay Austin prices, look no farther than Rockin' Diamond S Ranch. At Rockin' Diamond S Ranch, it is a beautiful place nestled in the Texas Hill Country. It's 120 acres, y'all. There's so much to do. There are breweries, distilleries, there are wineries, there's shopping. Look, the Longhorns are out there. You can play with them. You can feed them. You can check it out. It is just a true Texas experience. The property sleeps up to 14 people with one primary home and 2 fully furnished cabins. So again, get ready. Listen, football is right around the corner. You got to get booked. You got to get ready. You got to get ready for those teams, and you don't want to pay those inflated Austin hotel prices. So give them a check. Give them a look. And a quick shout out to our friend Chuck Smith for always being such a friend of the show. Again, that's Rockin' Diamond S Ranch. Look him up online, rockindiamondsranch.com, or give Chuck a call at 512-694-1969.
All right. Thanks, Megan. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
thank you, Chuck.
We have to thank you all so much. I feel so much smarter after having chatted with you guys. And I
always have this sense of peace when we have the families come on. Like it's nice to know we hear the hype, we get bought into the hype, but seeing peeking behind the curtain and getting that reassurance.
Thank you guys for having us.
No, thank you for having us. Such a blessing.
Made me comfortable. I've been asked to do a podcast or two, and I'm like, for what? Why?
But Jeanine, you're perfect for it, though.
I told you it would be great. I said, you guys
are so kind. Oh, I'll have a show tomorrow.
It's the truth. You got it, girl. Listen, we talk about Texas being family, and at Fire the Cannon, we've done this for a little while, and I think Rocky, is it fair for us to say this? We were the first podcast to have the Mama's Night and start the families on.
But that's big, though. Not gonna lie, that's big.
It's
I'm
family.
telling you, Jeanine, you gotta get Cynthia on the phone. If you get her on the phone, get ready.
That would be some fun. Have the mamas
back
group.
In the day, we had Watson's and Vaughn's and Worthy's mom, and over the years we've had Wisner's mom, and we've just had
Angie,
the Finkleys, Angie, the Fink, of course, the Finkleys, the Broughtons. So over the years, we've had lots of families come, and Yolanda Broughton was with us last week, or was it the week before? But she was with us recently, and so we love to have the dads and the moms, because because we had James Simon, the new running back. Him and his mom joined us a few months ago.
Nice.
And when he committed to Texas, and it was so amazing to hear.
You got to get the Stros on.
In the grind, like the real stories, right? The real stories of just, you know, the challenges and the advice and the lessons you're learning. And just, we want everyone else to be as proud and excited for your children and know how hard they work. And maybe if they go to start to tweet something mean, they might stop.
Yeah.
No, don't do it.
No,
cheer for your sons the way you do. Love them the way you do. That's what we want.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to get Cynthia on the. You got to listen. Y'all got to get Cynthia on here, Cynthia Goosby. But you also got to get Rosie. I'm telling you, Rosie Strode. That's the one you got to get on, man. I'm telling you.
Rosie is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to
she
get
is
Rosie.
phenomenal.
You got to get Rosie, but you got to get Nick on too.
Oh,
Nick's hilarious.
Yes. Well, listen, we're gonna have a party on Fire the Cannon here with the families. See, it's a family affair. We love it.
Love it. What's up, big guy?
Hook 'em.
Well, listen, ladies, thank y'all so much. I appreciate it.
We truly
Janine,
appreciate y'all being here.
I look forward to seeing you soon. Tell your husband I said hi.
I sure will. Fan day. Hopefully, maybe. All right.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Hook 'em.
Bye.
Hook 'em, y'all.
Bye.
All right, y'all. As always, we truly appreciate everyone being here for all your comments, all your thoughts. We love it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, we are at Fire the Cannon and the #1 on Instagram and Twitter, and following us on YouTube. Again, please, it helps us out a lot for that like and subscribe. We are Fire the Cannon podcast on YouTube. As always, y'all, I'm Megan.
I'm Rocky.
And we are Fire the Cannon. Hook 'em.